Hello everybody, welcome to the Authentically Blue podcast. I am your host, Carlson. This week, I am talking about changes in life. Honestly, this topic has been on my mind for a couple of years, not even months. Aspects of change I will be discussing in this episode include my thoughts on changes in life, my thoughts on life moving too fast, habits to install that have helped me navigate change in my life, some reminders for all of us as you have clicked onto this episode you may be interested in change or life moving too fast. And lastly, I have Instagram interactions. I asked my followers on Instagram their thoughts on change and how they navigate it. So I will discuss responses I got and my thoughts on that. So stick around for that. If you do want to participate in the future, you can follow me on Instagram. Everything is linked in the description below. Segments. In the last episode, I talked about how in every episode I will have segments, which will be 3 segments at the moment. One thing I'm grateful for, one interesting thing that happened this week, and my word to the wise. What am I grateful for this week? This week, I am grateful for my brother, Mamadou. He is such a beautiful soul. I had fascinating conversations with him this week about life and our ambitions in life. His mind is brilliant. Honestly, no one really understands me like how he does. So shout out to you, bro, if you're listening. You are what I'm grateful for this week. An interesting thing that happened this week. 2 things happened this week that are interesting. Firstly, I'm the hugest One Tree Hill fan. This show got me through a very difficult time in my life, which is part of the topic, I suppose, changes. I experienced loss of a family member the beginning of 2020, and it was a lot to go through. And something that helped me, especially that first week, coping and trying to cope with all the changes of grief, was the show One Tree Hill. I kind of dove right in. I was in already. I suppose it was more of an escapism, but it gave me some sort of comfort during that crazy time. And everyone who asks me for a show recommendation, I always recommend One Tree Hill because I love human connections, as I've clearly established or mentioned in the last episode and the trailer. And the show is really humane in that way. The connections are just out of this world. So this week, after I think 13 years, the 3 girlies, Sophia, Jo and Hilary, appeared on Good Sam for 1 episode. They made some references to One Tree Hill in the show, which was really funny. And if someone hadn't watched One Tree Hill, you wouldn't get it, but it was so freaking cool. That was an exciting and interesting thing that happened this week. The second interesting thing, I suppose, that happened was, I wouldn't really say it's interesting, but it gave me a lot of perspective on life and change, which is this week's episode. I watched Olivia Rodrigo's film, Sour, Coming Home to You. So much of what Olivia said in the film resonated with me in terms of life changing, how things move so quick, or you look back on life with older eyes and you're the same person and you really do remember the feelings or thoughts you had at the time, but you're healed. As a human, it's such a surreal feeling, and I could relate to what she said in so many different aspects of my life, especially the past 2 years, the past year especially, I would say. Another thought that struck with me of what Olivia said is she touched on changes in relationships or friendships, remembering how things were during times when you loved someone. I'm sure everyone's experiences are different, but we're all human at the end of the day, and we do experience similar aspects, and it doesn't make anyone stronger or weaker. It's just how life is and how life goes. We learn from these experiences. She mentioned when you love someone and felt you are not enough for this person, it could be platonic, romantic, any kind of relationship. Yes, so you feel either anxious around this person, or you find yourself walking on eggshells around this person or people because of how they treat you. Yet in the moment you don't see it because of how much you love them, but the second you remove yourself from that environment, you notice it and you go, I did not deserve that. Or you see the toxicity in it with that humane feeling of wanting to be enough with all your being, wanting to truly be there for someone. That was such a vulnerable thing for her to share, and I could relate in some ways. As I mentioned earlier, everyone's experiences are different and people experience things in different ways, but it's such a human thing. It's a topic or feeling that people don't talk about publicly. Why? I don't know. In this highlight reel we live on the internet, that was an interesting thing this week. It just made me reflect on my life and my experiences that I've been through in mine. Maybe me sharing my thoughts on this will help you reflect on yours too. There's also, with all these experiences we all go through in life as humans and how similar they are, each experience has a purpose in our life. And it was bittersweet just thinking of all the things and changes I've been through in my life, both big and small, while watching this film. So I guess that is the beauty of storytelling, which is amazing. Now I'll have my final segment before I dive into the episode, which is my word to the wise. I am subscribed to James Clear's newsletter. He wrote Atomic Habits. I have not yet read the book, but I will. In the newsletter, he had a quote on there about change, which I thought struck me. I was like, this is fascinating. The quote reads, "Many situations in life are similar to going on a hike. The view changes once you start walking. You don't need all the answers right now. New paths will reveal themselves if you have the courage to get started." Let us dive in, shall we? My thoughts on change. Change is inevitable in this world we live in, and sometimes change is good, sometimes change is bad. The last few years, everyone has experienced change in different ways. I mean, the whole world was in lockdown and shut down, so there's no way around it. So we all definitely, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're whichever country in this world you live in, you experienced it. Some people experience the negative side of it too, me and I'm sure many others, such as grief or health effects or just life being challenging in so many ways. And I truly hope anyone who's listening and everyone out there is doing well. If you're struggling or if you're having a hard time in life, I really do hope things get better for you. I am sending you love and I hope things work out for you. At the same time, there was beauty and good change that happened for many people, me included, because as much as I was grieving, I experienced, it was a lovely time being with family for a couple of months, just being and not rushing and enjoying our presence. And it was such a surreal time. And I don't mean to sound like I am discounting any of the negative things that happen. There's also different types of changes, such as moving to new cities, finding a new job, going to the next stage in life, or natural changes that occur during our life as humans, which is interesting, can either be exciting or not exciting for some people. Life moving fast. I personally feel like there's always this urgency in life to experience things and do all of these things. It's like, boom, buy a house, go to uni, go to college. There's this set out step. There's always something to do. And it's like, I need to get married before I'm this age, and I need to have kids before I'm this age, and I need to do this before I'm this age. Let's slow down and breathe and just take in the moment. I think one thing I really appreciated during the pandemic, I suppose, is how I personally, and people who I've talked to as well, they feel like time, it wasn't rushed. Yeah, it didn't feel like time was going too quick. There was no pressure to do certain things. And I miss that feeling. I miss that specific feeling. I don't miss anything else. And I'm grateful the world is opening up and things are so much better than how they were before. That feeling of things being slow, I just feel like recently everywhere I look, I'm like, my brothers are growing older. People are achieving things in life and just moving on and on and on. And I don't know. I was on Twitter yesterday and I read this tweet. Someone was just reflecting and thinking about how he would never spend the amount of time he spent with his childhood friends ever again. And these people, he spent his whole childhood with them, grew up with them, loved them, went through so many changes with them, and then boom, people are now adults. Everyone is in different cities. Chances are they're gonna have, maybe by the time they sync in their calendars and find a time that works for everyone, people have lives, work, family, so many different aspects to deal with, and there's not enough time. The person also mentioned in the tweet how they may have 20 more dinners with their parents, and yes, that sounds daunting. It's just the idea idea of life moving too fast and we don't put it into perspective because we're so busy all the time. The second thing I want to talk about was, under life is moving too fast, is taking time in where is crucial, whether it's positive or negative. An interesting quote I heard by Andre DeShiel is, slowly is the fastest way to get to where you want to be. Time goes by so quick and it's important to enjoy the moment. And yes, I know it's a cliche and it's said again and again and again, but it's a cliche for a reason. I think being present in the moment and appreciating what we're going through benefits us all. Leading on to my next point, even if things are not going to be positive in the moment, if things are negative at the moment, nothing lasts forever, whether it's good or bad. Life is like a roller coaster. It goes up, it goes down. We experience different emotions, different things. Everything is fleeting in this world. Nothing is ever constant. It could be terrifying and it could be a good thing at the same time, but it gives me comfort knowing if I'm in a moment of distress, I just think this won't last forever. Things are going to get better. You know, it's a good reminder to have. This thought of nothing lasts forever gives me the resilience I need, and hopefully it will give you who's listening the resilience to move on and the strength to carry on during any difficult moment you have in your life. It's so easy to get caught up and stuck on how things should be in life and how we want them to be. We spend so much time and energy wasting by dwelling on this. This is a bit of a tangent, but a brutal reality I dealt with recently, I wouldn't say recently, but a while ago, is my unhappiness is on me. And it's not anyone's responsibility. It's not my love responsibility, either a friend, a family, anybody else, however close I am to them. And yes, I get it. It does sound obvious, but it's so easy to get caught up with worldly affairs and forget that we are responsible for our happiness by dwelling on things that we can't change or we would want differently. That's energy and time you're wasting that you could have had being happy or trying to focus on making yourself happy. But then again, it's so easy to get caught up and stuck on how things should be or how we want them to be. This realization shifted my perspective on numerous occasions. It's so easy to forget this notion during experiences in our life that challenge us, but remembering it often really does help. So again, focusing and dwelling on things you can't change is just a waste of time and energy. And it sounds obvious, I know, but it could be anything. It could be from friendships to relationships to changes at work to any aspect of your life. Really reflect and think, what am I focusing on that I can't change? Sometimes we want things to work out in a way, and truly if you really can't do anything about it, do your best to accept it and move on. Intentions behind our decisions are important. This really does help with life moving too fast. It's important to get out of our comfort zone, as this is where growth happens. Look at me. I'm doing this podcast right here. This is out of my comfort zone. And I'm sure 30 or 40 episodes and I'm going to look back and think, oh my God, I was so awkward. Or, you know what? I'm doing my best right now. So growth is what happens when you leave your comfort zone. And this happens in so many aspects. Other than me doing this podcast, another aspect I can think of that getting out of your comfort zone is where growth happens is exercising. I have been exercising consistently lately. I have been exercising for the past 3 or 4 years. There have been dips and points where I haven't been consistent. And I have been reminded by a couple of family members, shout out to you guys, how important consistency is. It's so easy to go to the gym and just, I'm going to do a workout today and not do it fully. Not do the reps properly. But if you truly go for it, like me this week, I challenged myself to do this sort of exercise. And when you're in the gym, out of your comfort zone, when you challenge yourself to truly get to the point where you thought, I can't really do this, when your body tells you can't do it, but mentally you're like, no, I can do this, and then you do it, it's one of the best feelings in the world. It installs this fierceness in you, like, damn, like I've conquered this. It helps you conquer and achieve everything else outside working out in the gym, different aspects of your life. And all of this is just because I got out of my comfort zone, and other people who've experienced this have told me too. So definitely get out of your comfort zone. This will help with life moving too fast. It will encourage you and inspire you in different ways. At the same time, it's really important to be wary of being too comfortable. Yes, there is such a thing. Some people could be chasing the adrenaline a bit too much rather than facing their demons and fears. I am not guilty of this, but I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do. I need to chase the adrenaline a bit more. I suppose I'm a bit more reserved. Finding that balance or the pace as to where you're out of your comfort zone, whether you are an adrenaline seeker or you're too much in your comfort zone, finding that balance and pushing yourself as you know your limits definitely helps. Habits I have installed to help me with change. The main thing is mindset, and 3 elements I will discuss in the next few minutes include structure, self-care, and mindfulness. Structure. Implementing structure to your routine can give you a sense of control in your day if you feel like life is moving too fast. It can help with your organization, it can help with your focus, your productivity. Personally, any kind of structure has helped me. I love structure. I know there's some people who don't. It helps me focus on other things. It gets my focus off the source of what's making me anxious or nervous or even overwhelmed. Some benefits to having a routine include it lowers your stress level, it's a form of good daily habits, it's taking care of your health, you definitely will feel more productive, and you'll be focused. All these are amazing benefits. Whether you're someone who likes structure or not, having a loose structure in your day is beneficial. The key is to create a routine that adds structure and a sense of predictability into your day as we are dealing with change. And of course, your schedule may change somewhat depending on the day of the week, but sticking to the basic structure for when you will wake up, when you're going to eat, when you're going to work, it'll help you feel more organized and less stressed out. When setting up structures, it's important to consider your motivations and what you need to get done. Set realistic goals for yourself. Prepping for challenges and not focusing on things out of your control. Do what suits you. Adding activities you enjoy to your day is another thing you can do, either weekly, monthly. It can give you something to look forward to and a sense of control. Another element you can add to your structure is spending time with loved ones, either friends or family. Something I personally love is morning and evening routines. This could include, in your morning routine, it could be skincare, having a shower, stretching, working out, having coffee, tea. This routine helps you feel like you have your life together in the midst of change. No matter if you're in a different country, if you're navigating different things, having control of how you start your day and how your day ends adds this element of, I've got this, you know? I hope you know what I mean, but these are things I've experienced that have definitely helped. And at night, same thing, you can have a routine where it helps you wind down. Plus, it's beneficial to your brain because it helps your brain shut down and relax. I mean, who wouldn't want that? I personally love sleep. Having these routines help my mind know, it's time to wind down now. Brushing your teeth, having some tea, reading a book, listening to meditation, listening to music, whatever suits you, having a shower, stretching. Everything I've mentioned in the morning and evening routines are certain habits I do personally. And yes, they do change depending on where I am. When I'm with family, it's different. When I'm here, it's different. When I'm with friends, it's different. Or having a sleepover at a family member's house. Everything varies. I alter these routines to what suits me. So during these changes in life, it gives me this sense of security. It's important to find a structure that works for you. Like I mentioned, it could vary and change. So don't be too harsh on yourself when you're doing this. And it's not easy to create a new routine or add structure to a day, especially when your life feels disrupted or it feels like it's turned upside down. So it may take some time to get used to this new routine you're creating in order to feel accomplished. Give yourself grace and be easy with yourself. The second habit I love doing is self-care. This is a big one, especially in the midst of change. It helps me when I'm feeling overwhelmed. It helps me focus and nourish me. It definitely slows my pace through life. So taking time to nurture me, whether it's physically, emotionally, spiritually, naturally, whatever way I'm doing this, it helps me slow down. For example, having the morning and evening routines is self-care. Focusing on me in the morning and at night improves my self-esteem. It does wonders for my health when I'm doing my skincare. When I am focusing on me after having a long day, working and doing different things. Taking short walks is another way I show myself some love, whether it's around the block or a scenic walk in nature, spending a few minutes or even an hour or more. Honestly, I could walk for 2 hours on end if I'm listening to something good or just enjoying my time, or if I feel like I need it. Definitely helps. Whatever feels right to you, you can incorporate it into your routines and it makes a huge difference. I personally started taking walks seriously in June 2020 in the midst of the pandemic. It made such a positive impact on my life, especially being cooped up in the house for a couple of months. My energy shifted completely. I would look forward to these walks. Sometimes I would listen to music or a podcast, or other days I just wander around, absorb and soak in the nature and the world around me, get lost in my thoughts and listen to how I'm feeling without drowning in the noise or getting distracted. It helped me process my thoughts and even daydream, honestly. As I mentioned in the last episode, we live in such a digital driven world. It's crazy how even finding time to process our thoughts and emotions sometimes can be difficult, because we're always like, oh, let me catch up on this email, or let me check social media for a few minutes, or let me do this. And we do not give our brain time to focus and process things we have experienced, whether it's problem solving or giving us time to just be as human beings. And that is really important. So my, I suppose, challenge to you is, if you're someone who doesn't walk often, I would recommend definitely walking, even if it's for 10 minutes, wherever you are in the world. Trust me, wherever I am in the world, I always enjoy going for walks, as it definitely helps with my mental health. This is a major way I ground myself when I feel like life moves too fast, or if I'm dealing with changes in life. Incorporating self-care, especially during changes in my life, it reminds me to be grateful for things I take advantage of, whether it's prioritizing my rest or eating healthy. All these elements are important to my well-being and they ground me in the midst of change. Plus, they allow me to feel rested so I can face challenges on for the next day during these transitional periods of my life. I've touched on this briefly, but definitely having self-care grounds me emotionally. Being kind to me in the midst of change, or even normally, it really boosts my self-esteem and my confidence. It helps me stay strong in the midst of adversity, allows me to be in control in who I am, by taking care of myself and being able to show up with grace and dignity, because we're all human, we all make mistakes, we all go through different things, we all wish you could have done things better, but we're human, and focusing on things you cannot control, there's no point. So give yourself grace and do better now that you know better. Another aspect that I love about self-care is it reduces stress in my life. During big changes or even transitional changes, by putting myself first, it allows me to refill my own cup and take back control rather than let the situation or circumstance consume me, which is definitely a great thing. Earlier onwards, I mentioned going on walks. Something random I do while going for walks is people watching. It definitely sounds creepy, but it's not as creepy as it sounds, I promise. I have been doing this for the longest time. I think since I was a child, but I didn't realize I do it until the pandemic, because during these walks it was an element that brought me relief, so I suppose I noticed it more. During these walks where I would observe people around me, I got to see how people move in the world. Everyone is so different and unique, and yet we all experience the same feelings to different degrees, of course, but there's a beauty to that. It's humane, and I love it. Observing people around me, their dress code, how they present themselves, their facial expressions, their body language, it all fascinates me. Sometimes I create stories in my mind and wonder about certain things, like if I see vintage jewelry, I think, was that maybe a gift from their grandparents? Or did they maybe travel to New Orleans and find this beautiful piece that they love? Was it a gift from someone special? Or even if I see them upset, I wonder what caused that distress. There's a range of different emotions and so much we can learn from observing people. Also, if I truly like something someone has, I always compliment them. I never shy away from that, and I would encourage you, my fellow listener, to do the same, because this world is filled with enough hate and chaos. And we need more positivity in the world. So Go out there. If you see someone, if you like something about someone, whether it's that you think they have a beautiful smile, or they look good in their glasses, or if you like the color of their hair, or whatever they're wearing, anything that you think, oh, that looks nice, share it. You never know how that one compliment can boost someone's life, and we never know what people are experiencing. So this is my encouragement to you, my challenge. Actually, I challenge you to do that. Okay, the reason as to why people watch this process is really therapeutic for me, and if I am experiencing changes or struggles, it just gets me out of my mind and makes things feel light or not as heavy as overwhelming. It provokes my mind to relax, and in that moment I can be lost while knowing where I am. It puts into perspective my circumstances as I come across people who are either less fortunate than me. It's a gift feeling sympathetic to other people's circumstances. It humbles me, and it puts into perspective the humane experiences and what I'm going through, which definitely helps me when I'm stressed out. On top of complimenting people and going for walks, I also challenge you to people watch and see. See where you fit into this world. There's so many people with different lives. They have struggles and joys and people who love them, and it helps put things into perspective, as I mentioned. So look at the details of your surrounding, take a deep breath, people watch, and be in the moment, which leads me on to my next point, which is mindfulness. Doing things one thing at a time is very important, especially in this unhealthy, constant go world we live in with technology and everything else. Slowing down and being mindful helps ground us. There's so many ways you can do this. You can either meditate, you can journal, you can go for a run if you want to move while doing it. So some of you may wonder, how is running therapeutic? By going on a run, you're focusing on your breath and your feet, the steps you're taking. It clears your mind and allows you to focus on one thing at a time. Doing activities that help you in this way. For me personally, I love cleaning. When I'm stressed out, I find myself cleaning. Cleaning helps me focus on the dirt or whatever's in the house and making it even cleaner than how it is. Another thing I enjoy is cooking. After I've had a long day, I go into the kitchen and cook. Working with my hands definitely help me meditate. I also do meditate. I do journal too, but there's different ways of journaling. I do have journals, like an actual journal where I write things down, but at the same time, I'm not a journaling type of girl, so I jot down my thoughts in the notes app on my phone, especially if I'm feeling overwhelmed. I kind of brain dump and then I unpack later onwards. And I started doing this 2 years ago, actually 3 years ago, which is kind of crazy. I haven't gone back. I don't know, maybe one day I will go through the notes and see what I have been experiencing in the moment. But I'm someone who truly believes everything you experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly, are all valid. So I write down what I'm feeling in the moment, acknowledge it, and move on from there. That definitely helps. Some reminders when navigating through change is, number one, value what you have. I touched on this earlier onwards in terms of when I'm going on walks and I see someone who's in a less fortunate position than me, it humbles me. It reminds me to really value what I have, whether it may be something you're grateful for, whatever it may be, being grateful for what you have in this moment. Think of it this way. If it's taken away from your life and it causes discomfort or sorrow, it is important. So be thankful, whether it's having a roof over your head, having family, having friends, having someone who cares for you in your life, even having yourself. I have been on so many occasions been thankful for my mindset and how I deal with challenges or adversity in my life. It's not selfish. You can be thankful for you too. There's so many things I can think of at the top of my head, but I could go on. And one thing that pops in my mind that I will say right now is health. Think of your health. If you're someone who has your hands, your legs, your eyes, different parts of your body, what you're grateful for. Think of things that you have truly, that if it's taken away from you, it would be more difficult to live life in this difficult world we live in. And I don't mean to say your trauma is less than someone who has it worse than you. It's just putting into perspective that yes, it could be worse off, or yes, what you're dealing with is bad, but just reminding yourself that to be grateful for what you do have. It humbles you. It gives you that mindset shift that you need. And something I have been doing actually this whole 2022, shout out to my friend Samira who encouraged me to do this, is I listen, I note down something I'm grateful for every single day, and it could be small. Some things it's big things. Some things I struggle to find one thing to be grateful for. Some days I have so many things I want to list I'm grateful for. Let me go to my notes app and see what I was grateful for yesterday. Hold on, let's see. Okay, March 30th. I was grateful for achieving, I did say this earlier in the episode, but I worked out 7 days consistently and pushed myself to do 3 reps of each of this exercise. And I was so proud of myself. That was something I was really proud of. And another thing I wrote down I was grateful for. I had a moment in the kitchen where I was just dancing and having a good time, which was fun. I had not done that in a while. I do dance in my room often, but while I was in the kitchen cooking, I just felt like dancing and letting loose. So I was grateful for that. After I finished that, it felt so exhilarating and fun. So that was something I was grateful for. Okay, back to the episode. So yeah, being grateful and valuing what you have in this moment. The second reminder I have is live in the moment. The past is gone. The future is yet to come, and we are not promised tomorrow. Give yourself grace for the mistakes you've made or the regrets you have. I've said this, I think 3 or 4 times in this episode already, but you now know better, so do better. There's honestly nothing you can do about things that have gone. It's gone. It's done. It's a done deal. Literally, there's no point in wasting time doing that, because this time is gone. There's no, you can't take it back at all, and time goes by so quick, as we all know. Treat yourself like how you would treat a loved one. It's so easy to be harsh on ourselves. My third reminder is being open to new experiences. I was reminded recently why we should be mindful about being open to new experiences. It's not just about being in the present. We tend to live in trance, focusing on achievements which are transient and short-lived. We are not open and curious to simple moments in life. Life is the small moments we experience. It's the things we do day to day. It's finding happiness in the little things. Yes, these achievements will come, but living your life wanting to achieve these peak achievements is a form of wasting your life, to be honest. There's no other way I can put it. Being more mindful in the day-to-day things, enjoying either spending time with a loved one during dinner, enjoying doing your morning or evening routine, and every day is different, you want to appreciate and love everything every single day. So I think the sun is setting. Oh, no, yeah, it's out there shining so bright. Focusing on the mundane things in life, that's where the beauty of life truly lies in. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about Instagram questions. I posted on my Instagram asking, do you like change? Do you feel like life moves too fast? Do you like changes that occur in your life? And what do you do that helps you navigate change when you're overwhelmed with changes in your life? The responses I got. Okay, one person said, well, change is inevitable to some extent. However, change occurrence is something positive. I completely agree, as I've mentioned in this podcast. Someone said, I have a lot to say, check your DMs. So I checked my DMs, and this person said, so I had some time settling in the UK since I moved. Everything has been moving so quickly that sometimes I don't even think. I cried myself to sleep a couple of times, still do if anything, but the thing that has been constant is the fact that I evolve. I become stronger, I change. I believe change is just an aspect of our various lives that represents growth, and we should just welcome all that comes with it, because it's always going to be fine. I have learned to just plan and remember why I do what I do. And yes, I love all the changes happening. It's always for the best if you think about it. Thank you so much for sending this in. I responded and thanked the person. A few important things in this message I completely agree with is knowing your why, knowing why you're doing things reminds you during change. This person's change was moving to a new country for studies, and remembering their why helped this person during a difficult time in their life, remembering that they are evolving and being stronger. Change definitely represents growth in our lives, and it's constant. It always happens again and again. Thank you for sending this in. Okay, another person said, Someone responded to what helps you, what do you do when you're overwhelmed to change, and someone responded, I eat sweets. That's a good way of dealing with it. Someone responded saying, I suppose I don't mind change. Okay, another person said, change is inevitable. You will be anxious, you'll be scared, you'll avoid it, but do it, I'm afraid. So I responded to this person and said, that's true. How do you deal with the fear and anxiety of change? And this person responded, well, my anxiety will always be there, so will fear. I just suppress them and let out a deep breath. Once I'm done, I have to push forward. And I'm like, yep, that's a good method. Breathing is definitely a good way to deal with change. Focusing on our breath and bringing it back to us. Those are the responses to my questions on Instagram. All my socials will be linked below if you want to participate in future polls and questions. That is it for this week's episode, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed my tips and tricks and thoughts on this topic. I hope you have a beautiful week, and I will catch you here next week. Bye.